Welcome into the Your Illini Nation pregame show. Andy Olson, Derek Piper with you as we get set for possibly the most exciting regular season matchup we've had so far this year. Number 4 Marquette comes to Champaign, and number 23 Illinois trying to get one of those poster wins of the season, to start at least. Well, the season to go, but this would sure jumpstart things, Derek. We'll start with the biggest news today. Reigning Big East Player of the Year, Tyler Kolek, was a game-time decision. I almost said questionable. He was a game-time decision coming in. It's being reported now that he's going to give it a go.
Yeah, he's not on the court right now getting up some shots. And a guy that rolled his ankle in the last game against Ryder on Friday stepped on somebody's foot late in that game. And, yeah, like you said, reigning Big East Player of the Year, arguably the best point guard in college basketball this season with his ability to pass. Last season, 7.5 assists per game, third in the country, and a guy that can really shoot it too, 40% from three. So Marquette being at full strength. We'll see if there's any lingering indications of his movements slowed or anything like that. But as far as I can tell, and Jeff Goodman, I know, put it out there a few minutes ago that he's going to give it a go, and we'll see what that looks like. But Marquette, as we're going to break down, a very impressive team, and they got their engine as their point guard is going to go tonight. That's a big test for Illinois.
The give it a go wording is a little interesting to me, so we'll see what exactly that means once we get into the game. But Derek, this is a test for Illinois very early in the season. Now, we've compared it in the media to when number 1 Kansas came in here for the preseason. This is an entirely different scenario, though. These ones count for the win-loss column. And you have to imagine this is going to be more buzz with this one.
Oh, yeah. No, I think so. It's sold out, and we talked about the Kansas game. Maybe didn't have the turnout that you would have hoped, but this one matters. This one is no dress rehearsal, no feeling anything out. This one means a ton. This is one you can look back on if you do get that win. It could really matter on your NCAA tournament resume. And really, this is one of the most fun and impactful games on Illinois' schedule the entire year. I know you go into the thick of Big Ten play, and we'll see what that looks like if Illinois is chasing. I don't know about a Big Ten title. We'll see. Purdue looks pretty good, but this is one that turns the basketball season all the way up to 100, in my opinion. And both for Illinois fans, a lot of huge games through this week. Gavitt Games, Champions Classic is tonight. But Illinois is going to find out a lot about itself. And yes, while we can reference and we're impressed by that Kansas game, unfortunately, it's not one that carries any weight in terms of the regular season. But we'll see what Illinois is made of. I know when they play their best, if they did against, in that range against Kansas, they can beat anybody. They're going to have to be really, really good tonight because Marquette posted a lot of challenges.
I wonder if there's still any negative feelings towards Kolek and the Golden Eagles from 2 seasons ago when there was that no call that led to the final game-winning bucket that let Marquette beat Illinois by 1. Like I said, that was 2 seasons ago. Also in the Gavitt Games. I was up in Milwaukee, though. I'm sure Illinois fans have not forgotten that one.
Probably not. No, admittedly, I forgot about Kolek being involved in that play. The thing that sticks out in my mind, Kofi Coburn suspended for that game.
Yeah.
Number 2, Andre Curbelo was really rough in that game. A guy that went like 5 or 18 from the field, 6 turnovers and whatnot. But, yeah, there's been a lot of roster turnover in the years that have followed since then. So I don't know how much is still lingering from that. Coleman Hawkins maybe still remembers that. But a lot of new faces, obviously. And I think just in general, seeing number 4 coming into your house, I'm sure Marquette has earned respect for Illinois, seeing and hearing about the fact that, they probably watched the film of that game against Kansas and knowing that they knocked off number 1, albeit in an exhibition game. So I think both look at each other and say, hey, we could see these teams, see each other down the road in March, maybe not facing each other, but squads that are very capable of going into the second weekend and beyond. In watching and studying Marquette, I know they were one of the hottest teams going into the tournament last year, and they brought back 8 of the top 9 scorers. I think this is a legit possible Final Four team. So they're very, very good, and we're going to get an up-close look at them here shortly.
Let's talk about the Illini, what they put on the floor so far this season. A lot of slow starts is what they put on the floor, Derek. East Illinois kept with the Illini for a while. Oakland kept with them even longer than that. That game being within 1 score until about 7 minutes left in that one. Does that worry you at all at this point?
Absolutely. Yeah, it does worry me, especially tonight, knowing that Marquette, in both their games, have put up 90+. They're very, very capable of offensive explosions. I don't feel like, and I'll give Illinois' defense a lot of credit, which I think, obviously a huge reason why they weathered the storm in the Oakland game and have a big run at the end of that, because they were able to make sure that Oakland shooters didn't go off from three, and Terrence Shannon did a great job, Ty Rogers as well. Illinois will have something to say about Marquette coming in as a high-powered offense. But on the flip side, in terms of Illinois goes, if you go in some scoring ruts, if you have 4 or 5 minutes where your offense isn't clicking, you turn it over, you're missing shots, Marquette's a really dangerous team. If you dig an early home, I don't know if you come back. So that's something that I am going to worry about. Now, in terms of like Eastern, I felt like the energy was not there. I felt like it was just one of those, all right, we're going to win by 30, right? We just show up, put the uniform on, and we'll be where we need to be.
And they almost did.
No, they did. So tonight, I don't worry about that. I don't worry about their mentality. They're going to be juiced for this. This environment will be high level. They know they can't get away with overlooking a team, and you wouldn't against number 4 in the country. So am I worried about Illinois' focus and mentality and being up for this game? Not at all. Am I worried about some of their execution and this inconsistency, if that would lead to Marquette being in a position of strength? You never want a team coming into your house to be able to settle in. I'd be afraid if Illinois has a slow start again that Marquette gets comfortable and that they are able to be in control of the game early, and we'd see where that goes from there.
All right. Now, Illinois, we'll hear coming up in the 6 o'clock show on WCIA what Brad Underwood had to say about working on lineups, guys finding roles. Illinois really hasn't found certain lineups for certain parts of the games yet. They've been trying different things until finally just find something that works. That's what happened against Oakland. You throw out that big lineup and, you start to get some rebounds finally. East Illinois, it's the same thing. I mean, it's normal for this part of the year for Illinois not to have a for sure lineup for certain parts of the game, for certain needs in parts of the game. They don't need to have all that decided yet, but it'd be nice if you had that against the Golden Eagles tonight.
Well, yeah, I think there is a value to kind of being able to have it be a feel-based thing where, depending on what you need a given night, depending on who's playing well in a given night, you can go with different lineups, and that allows you to, keep guys accountable. If they're not playing that well, then they sit on the bench and other guys get some runs. So I do think that starting group, what we've seen with Ty and Terrence and Mark Stamass, Quincy Guerrier, Coleman Hawkins, has solidified itself as a five that's going to be out there a lot. Quincy Guerrier has been really impressive, both in the Kansas game, and then he was huge against Oakland. Like what he did on Trey Townsend, who was an all-league type of forward. I think he's got a big matchup tonight against David Joplin, who was the 6th man of the year in the Big East last year. Just as a physical, older dude, he's 24 years old. He's been in a lot of games, so winning plays down the stretch, that's something that he can bring. I think tonight, though, in a little bit of a contrast, Illinois wanted to go bigger in that matchup against Oakland, really hurting them inside. Well, I think Illinois, in terms of their physicality and rebounding, can hurt Marquette. I think that the guard play, guys that all we focus on, like Justin Harmon tonight, Drake Lawhorn and his opportunities. Just because Marquette is so fast, they have a lot of good guards, and maybe a couple of guys get foul trouble. Those guys will really need to play well, I think. At least one of them. I really kind of circle Harmon, right? It's going to be a big night for Harmon to give you some valuable minutes off the bench. Just knowing what Marquette presents. So I would look at that tonight. While it's a big lineup against Oakland, maybe it's some of those guards tonight against Marquette.
We brought up the starting lineup and how it's been consistent, but we saw Luke Goode start in the preseason. Is this the type of night for him, or are they saving him for a different kind of opponent, do you think?
I mean, you always look at his shot making. You say that, he comes in and makes 2 or 3 threes. That can be very, very valuable. I think his rebounding is probably underrated. I think that's something that he can do. I do question, admittedly, Marquette, a pretty athletic team. How does that play into Luke being out there? And are you going to play with the mask? Is there enough for a running gun type of up and down team in Marquette? Do you need more athleticism out there? Just say it plain simple. We'll see with Luke. I think he's going to get his minutes, going to get an opportunity to go out there and, again, make some shots and compete. I think he's a role player at this point off the bench, and they definitely, in terms of shooting 29% for free so far through 2 games, they need some more that they can hang their hat on from a three-point shooting standpoint. Maybe Luke can be that.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Marquette itself now. We know Kolek, we went over him, but like you said, 8 of their top 9 scorers back from last season. This is a deep roster, and a lot of guys that the Illini are going to have circled. We can't let this guy go off.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about this Marquette team. You look, Oso Ighodaro is a 6'11", athletic and mobile big man. He's a projected right now early second-round pick in terms of the NBA draft. So I think the matchup with Coleman Hawkins is going to be really, really interesting. I do think they have similar strengths in terms of what they do well. He, like Coleman, very good passer, can handle the ball really well for his size. Has a little bit more strength to him than Coleman. He's about 10 pounds heavier. So I wonder about how Coleman battles with him around the basket and everything. But Marquette will run their offense through him a lot in the high post, put him in some ISOs in the mid post on the wing, and try to create some breakdowns defensively. Maybe you got to come help and they kick it to a shooter. So I think Coleman, who's been up and down here to start this regular season, he was great against Kansas, has to really bring it tonight. And knowing there's a big-time matchup on his hands on the other side. Now, to his credit, through his time here at Illinois, whether it was Keegan Murray, Chris Murray at Iowa, some stretches, maybe, E.J. Liddell, even last year did a decent job on Zach Edey. Coleman's done some really good things against some of the better front court players that have been on tap for him. So this is another one that he really needs to be able to show out for. I think in terms of guys that can't go off, David Joplin, I mentioned him earlier, can really rattle off threes. I went back and watched their game against UConn in the Big East tournament. By the way, they beat UConn 2 out of 3 last year, the eventual national champions. And he hit 4 threes off the bench. Played less than 20 minutes, and he's rattling in 17 points. So he's got that explosivity. Is that a word? He's explosive. He's explosive with his ability to get hot from 3. Cam Jones, another guy, 6'5". I know Brad yesterday called him maybe the most underrated guard in the country because Kolek and Ighodaro get so much attention. Cam Jones right now averages more than 20 points a game, shooting 50% from 3. Those are guys that can really get in a rhythm from deep that can hurt you, especially if they settle in. Illinois, again, like Shannon, what he did against Oakland, Ty Rodgers, preventing three-point looks. I think Illinois will try to make things difficult for those guys, but you want to make sure that they are not getting in a rhythm early on in your home building.
Like that kick, by the way?
That was a nice kick save.
Ball coming right for the camera. I said, no, sir. Don't want to ruin the Jays, though. But
those are nice kicks.
We had to do what we had to do. Last game of the Gavitt tip-off games today. Illinois 1-3 in the previous games in this competition. Sad to see these two conferences can't work something out where we can have 8 really high-level games every preseason to begin the year. And hopefully the Big Ten can find someone else, another conference they can have these types of games with, because these are always fun, I feel like, to start the year.
Oh, they are fun, especially when you're in a position like Illinois this year to be drawing some of those more marquee matchups. Maybe you didn't feel as tied to it or wanting it as bad if you're going to play DePaul or
sure.
Some guys. Sorry, DePaul. You've just been stunk for a long time. But, the opportunity to play a UConn, a Villanova, a Creighton. There's some good teams in the Big East, obviously. So with that going away with the ACC, Big Ten obviously have gone away already. It's unfortunate. Maybe it's the Big Ten and the SEC. Maybe it's the Big Ten and the Big 12 going forward. But I would like to see that get reestablished. I do think it puts more on the plate of the programs to go out and schedule some home and homes. Illinois did that with Arizona, obviously, and they're doing it with Tennessee. So those type of things are really cool. Maybe it is just going to be programs have to just go out and seek that out themselves. But one thing, just kind of a side note that I hope we don't see is that with conference expansion, let's not do a 25-game Big Ten schedule or something like that.
Big Ten
That's
games.
a lot. Like, go out and provide us with some things we don't normally see as far as matchups. I like things like this, and even like the interconference battles. And maybe it probably would be the SEC for maybe the perfect marriage, although the Big 12 is loaded up with more teams too, to kind of match a league that has the same number of squads to kind of have that bragging rights.
Yeah.
And it was great for years, the Big 10 and ACC, although both leagues had some big runs. Like the ACC, I think, won like the first 12 of those, and the Big 10 had a nice run. But they're fun, and they get the fans involved, and you almost find yourself rooting for teams across the Big 10, which some people are like, I'm not rooting for Indiana no matter what, but I think it's fun.
I'm really sad the Big Ten ACC challenge doesn't exist anymore, because we theoretically could have had like a USC Stanford as a Big Ten ACC Challenge game.
Yeah, right.
That would have been
That
fun
crazy?
as hell. I would have liked that. Oh well, only in our dreams. We got to wrap up here because I got some time coming up on the 6 o'clock news. So Derek, before we get to predictions, give us some things that you're looking out for, maybe key players to watch in this one.
Yeah, I think one big key is when you look at Marquette, the way they're going to pressure you. You think of Shock Smart, of course. You remember VCU. I mean, they ran some really havoc-like defense, full court pressure. It's dialed back a little bit in terms of what that was, but they're going to hit you with some 1-2-2 full court press, 3/4 court press to make you have to crack that. At the very least, choose some time off the shot clock, but they want to create turnovers. They're doing a really good job at that. Illinois, without a traditional point guard, how do they handle that? Are you tough enough with the ball? Are you able to get into your offense? And then once you get in the half court, they're going to mix man and zone. So having that recognition, okay, are they in man? This is what we want to run against their man defense. Are they in their 3-2 matchup zone? This is what we got to do against that. If I'm Marquette, honestly, I'm definitely pressuring as much as I can deep in the backcourt, and I'm running a lot of 3-2 matchup zone. Just based on right now, Illinois' inability to shoot the three consistently, and then the zone kind of gives you the chance to help out on Terrence Shannon, because I think that's one matchup that I think can obviously kill Marquette. Is, well, I love their guards. I think they're really very talented, can shoot the three well. They don't have that big guard to match up with Shannon defensively. So Shannon downhill to give them problems. I think that's something to obviously watch for. I mentioned Coleman in that matchup against Iguodala is going to be huge. And I think also Marcus Damas, a guy that hasn't shot the three that well so far this season. I just think about the way Marquette wants to speed you up and get you flustered and everything. Damas playmaking, and just the fact that, Brad talks about it, he doesn't get sped up. He's cool, calm, collect. He's played in a bajillion college basketball games so far. Can he be that steadying force for Illinois in this one against a team from his home state, Wisconsin? Maybe he hurts the Golden Eagles tonight.
All right. It should be a very fun one coming up. Illinois was a 1.5-point favorite. I don't know if that has changed with the Kolek news, knowing that he is playing. But Derek, how do you see this one playing out?
I think it's tough. I think Marquette presents.
So that means you're picking Marquette.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. But yes, I think with Marquette, with their guard play, with the fact that they have a lot of cohesion, this group has played a lot together, and then just what they can do to disrupt what's been an inconsistent Illinois offense so far. I do think Marquette prevails. I think there's a way this goes. I should mention, I think a huge key for Illinois on the offensive glass. Like, Marquette does not defensive rebound all that well. So I think Illinois could kind of counteract some of the guard play, the pressure, with offensive rebounding, second chance opportunities. But I think it's a higher scoring game. Marquette 81, Illinois 73. And I'm sure Illini fans, which I'll agree with you, I hope I'm wrong. And we'll see.
They'll let you know if you're wrong.
I'm sure they will.
I was thinking maybe a little bit less high-scoring game, simply because we've seen the Illinois defense play really well this season so far. So I'm going to go 70-67 Marquette. I'm going to do the same thing as you, and the Illini Nation's going to let me know about it too if I'm wrong. But
yeah, go at him. Get in his mentions.
Everything that you've said, I think, is correct. They just have so much back from last season for a team that was so good. Kind of disappointed in March Madness, I would say.
Yeah.
That they had very high expectations, so we will see what they have this time around. I know both teams are going to be up to play this one. It should be a very interesting one. Derek, we have 55 minutes until this one gets tipped off on Fox Sports 1. How can fans at home spend that time on the Illini Inquirer?
Yeah, I've got my 3 keys and a pick, full breakdown of tonight's matchup. I also did an article yesterday about Illinois trying to make defense a big part of their identity. I know Quincy Guerrier mentioned that after Oakland, and just what this team can become at the defensive end to really try to disrupt people. And even on nights where they don't make a ton of threes, maybe it's the defensive end that can get the job done for them. We've got Joey, Jeremy, and myself all here tonight to cover the game. We'll have covered from all angles, podcasts after the game, and check out your guys' stuff as well.
Did you call him Gary, almost?
Jeremy? They call him Gary?
Maybe. You call him Jeremy eventually.
Yeah, Jeremy.
I'll let your boss know about that. Wherever you're watching this right now, tune in after the game for Brad Underwood's entire post-game press conference. That is on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and YourIlliniNation.com. Thanks for joining us before the game. For Derek, I'm Andy. Enjoy this one, and we will see you afterwards.
Don't fire me, Gary.